Howdy folks, it's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It's the middle of the evening and we are unboxing a game from Marshal Enterprises. If you can read that there, it's embossed on the box. This is a La Bataille game with the premier rules. It is La Bataille de Heilsberg, 1807. And we've got our handy dandy, wait, we don't need that. This is in a box. They don't come in shrink wrap. We'll gently try to pry out this end piece here without ripping or tearing the plastic. I mean the cardboard. All right, here, let's see. I think that just lifts up. There we go. All right, and I think it just sort of unfolds like this. This is my first game from Marshal Enterprises. You can't see nothing there. I'm gonna tip this up here so you can see that rule book there, a rule sheet. Read me first. It's a read me first sheet. And there we can see all these goodies in the box there. All right, so let's get this back in place and start to look at these goodies. I'm going to zoom out so you can see this. Read me first. And it looks like it's in German and French, which makes sense because this is a battle between the French and the Prussians. All right. Thank you for purchasing this newest volume of Marshal Enterprises Premier Series, La Bataille de Heilsberg, 1807 from Marshal Enterprises. 165 pages. Wow. Downloading it. Download. All right. This is sequence of play. We have the liberators of the oppressed and the enemies of the revolution. Command phase, cavalry charge phase, movement phase, defensive fire phase, offensive fire phase, assault by melee phase, and morale phase. So, it is a symmetrical sequence of play between the liberators of the oppressed and the enemies of the revolution. I do not know if that is true for all of these games, if some of them have non-symmetrical sequences of play. This is the mix between liberté, égalité, and fraternité, which was a cry of the revolution: liberty, equality or equality, and fraternity, brotherhood. All right. Now, it looks like we got a whole bunch of counters in here. All right, and underneath the counters, there looks like to be some charts. So I'm going to set those aside first. We'll come back to those. All right, a whole bunch of charts. I want to look at the map first, is what I want to do. All right, so what we have in here, all right, so it's an interesting map. It's not a map, it's not a super sturdy box. It's enough to hold these things in, keep them tucked away, but not the sturdiest of things. But I guess that keeps the costs down a little bit. Okay, there's a very interesting feel to this. There are two maps. All right. Now it almost looks like, is that a little bit bent there? There's a minor little impression there. I'm not sure if that's just an accidental crimp. The paper feels heavy. Can you hear that? So it's a heavy paper. It holds the color on here quite nicely. All right, Heilsberg. Interesting little town there. There's all those bridges. This is a fortified area here. There's just walls around there. Let's see, there's a bridge here, a bridge here, a bridge here. Very interesting. Little tiny stream or creek. I'm assuming you can call these a stream and these a river. You've got your slope contours. Very interesting. There's this, the map fold is here. This hex line is catching the light. That's actually, this is just as much a clear terrain as this, but the way the light is catching it right here, that looks like a bright white line right down the middle. And that's just an artifact of the way I've got the light right now. That's very interesting. And I'm holding this up and this is blocking the light that's above me this way. I'm going to turn this sideways so I can spread it out a little bit and let it fall down. There we go. Take a little look here this way. So that says Grossendorf. Konigen. Route, RTE, what's that? Bartenstein. The route that's upside down, Seeberg. Okay, there's these little like fortifications or redoubts here, top of some of these hills. So that says there, Route de PR Ila. I'm not sure what the PR is standing for. All right, so that's an interesting map here. We've got slightly different colored, darker woods, lighter woods. I don't know if there's any actual difference. This looks like this would be marsh here, I am guessing. We will find out. All right, so that's one map. Let me fold that back up. There we go. Look at map number 2. Route to Landsberg. All right, you can see that there. Lots of woods. All right, do some more of this sidewaysness. Around Vrumdit. All right, here's the town of Lauden. I'm going to zoom in a little more here. It was all zoomed out, but we're going to read some of this a little better. Here's the Route to Landsberg. Wormdit, Launau, and this must be what goes onto the other map. So this is butting up to that other edge of that other map. Langweis and Dovranik. Quite a lot of river here, swamp, trees, slopes. This looks like a nice, interesting spot. Huh. Now, all right, so here's north is this way. And Paris is off that way. All right. Now, if I'm remembering, let's see, Heilsberg. That was like a precursor battle before, which is it? The one that starts with an F. I don't remember. It'll probably tell us. Or not. The rules aren't in here. You gotta download the rules. So you might not have enough information here to see that. All right. Going to look at counters now. Now, these are some of the glossiest counters I've ever seen. That shine off of there. These are way more glossier than Avalon Hill counters. I, in general, don't like glossy counters. I don't like the shine, and I don't like usually how they stack. I do not know if these are going to slip and slide all over. Now, these seem to have kind of pronounced edges to them, the way these are die cut. They may sort of stack on top of each other well. It has a slight like indentation in the back. You know, some of them where they're pressed, you can it becomes you can see the sort of the depression from the compression of the die cutter a little bit on some of these, but it's interesting. All right, so obviously that's your boring normal markers and all that stuff. Russian beef. So wait, Russians. Was there Russians and Prussians? Or was it just the French versus the Russians? Or Russian A front, Russian B front, the back. All right, so now I have seen some videos of this before, and this always struck me as weird, but all the stats are on the back. So you've got the fronts with your basic numbers, but a whole bunch of important stats on the back, which I do not know what they all are. There's at least 4 different numbers here. 3 on this side, 1 on this side. And some of these don't have ones on the right-hand side. Some actually have like a plus number instead of a regular number. Here's one with something with parenthesis on that left-hand column of numbers. So I do not know what these things mean yet. Without a rule book here, it will be a little less of a discovery kind of unboxing that I like to do. I like to do the more dig in, and I am not going to be able to dig in quite as much. I'm assuming that's a liter. Things with the zeros. So I'm assuming the first number is the combat strength. Just a raw, maybe strength points. You know, and the second number, well, see, this is horse artillery, infantry. Wait a minute. These 7, infantry 7, 8. It's a 9. Is there anything obviously that looks like a regular cavalry unit? Okay, over here we have these 11s. Okay, so that is movement or leaders, right? So for, well, this isn't a leader. What is this? Is that a different kind of a number? Is this a guard unit? Is this NG? What is this? Wait a minute. See, look at that line. Almost, is that representing forming a square? Do you have to take like 4 dudes and physically form a square? with 4 units or something. That's the combined strength of adding, I don't know. I do not know. French, Russian. So, they're fighting in Prussia, but they're fighting the Russians. Okay. As far as I can tell here, from the counter sheets, there is no labeling that says there's any Prussian units. So green, 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 and we see eagle. So that's a Russian guy. I'm not sure what these kind of, it's like a charcoal gray, dark. Well, see, here's a more charcoaly gray, lighter charcoal gray. This is a dark. I don't know. I will have to learn this. Okay, maybe that's, forming a square. Exhausted road march. Disorder. Routed. Tired, exhausted. So kind of line. So you're assumed to be in column unless you're in square or line. Now, there does not appear to be many of those at all. That seems like a small number. Everyone isn't always running around in column all the time, are they? Maybe they're assuming that you have played one of the other games and you have sets of markers. Because that is not a lot. It's only 8. It's only 8 across here. 8 square markers, back printed with the 8 line markers. And so you could only, there's 4 guys in square over here and 4 guys in line over here. And oops, no one else could, wait, no, that's not right. They got blank counters that you could turn into what you need. So I don't know. There are a lot of blank counters. So you could use the blank counters for indicating line or column or whatever. There are lots of blank counters. I would like to have more of the official printed. Now what's that? So that looks like some kind of entrenchment, a redoubt. Definitely a nice, anti-cavalry barrier of some kind. Yeah, so that's a little weird to me that there weren't more of those, what I'm assuming are square. All right, let's look at what else we got here. A fire combat chart, fire attack morale rules. I'll go ahead and zoom out a little bit so you can see that in a better picture. Artillery special rules. All right, so this is one of those 11, 16, 21. So it's 2 dice that you use as not 2d6, but d6 times d6, where you roll, or d66 as some people call them, where there's not 66 different numbers. There's 36 different numbers, but it's 1 1 through 1 6, 2 1 through 2 6, etc. So you could have just as easily, whatever. You could have done that somewhat differently. I think I've seen it before, where you have 2 columns. So you have a long vertical box that says 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as opposed to 31, 32, 33. But yeah, It's fine. Some people prefer to read it that way, I guess. But if you're reading two numbers, I like to read that way for percentile dice, but not any other kind of 2 dice pair. So odds, it's odds across the top, ranging from 1 to 3, 1 to 2.5, 1 to 2, 1 to 1.5, 1, 1.5 to 1, 2, 2.5 to 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there's numbers with a green splotch and a red splotch. So obviously, rolling a 6-5 or 6-6 is a very special meaning. Something in the red zone. Leader casualty on 6-5 and 6-6. So if you roll 6-5 or 6-6, so there's a 1 in 18 chance. 2 chances out of 36 possibilities when you roll them dice that you're going to potentially have a chance to inflict a leader casualty. Now the green looks like it might just be just all the 2s. I don't think it means anything special. It's easy on the eye to see where the 1 starts the 2, then it goes into 3. Now, they don't mark off the 4s. There are some 4s way down here. If they were going to follow that pattern, they should have made the 4s also green or something, but I don't know. Anything on the back? Yep. La Bataille Premier Assault en Melee. So not as quite as many options. There's no 1 to 3. It only goes up to 5 to 1. There's a 3.5 to 1, where we did not have 3.5 to 1 on the fire side. We had, 1. So it starts here, 1 to 2, 1. So there's no 1.5 to 1, or there's no 1 to 1.5. Right. So you eliminate, you have 1 to 2, 1 to 1. You have 1.5 to 1, 2.5 to 1, but you also have 3.5 to 1 and 4.5 to 1. Okay, so there's more increments there, but you removed 1 increment here. AD-AR, so I'm assuming AR is attacker retreat. AD is probably attacker disordered. It doesn't actually say here. I'm not seeing it. Attacker lethal casualties on 1, 1, 1, 2. Defender leader. So interesting. There's an increased chance of the defender having a leader casualty than the attacker. Is that make sense? Does that make sense? Don't know. D-R. Well, I don't know. Wait, D-S, R, R, D, 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 D. R, no, maybe R. No, R is not retreat. It's going to be probably routed. Disordered and routed. Okay, I think that thing is shattered. I think I've seen that before. So, right? It's like disordered, routed, shattered. Now, what's all this stuff here? Some extra, like a dice roll or something. There's some asterisks. There's things like 1, 4, 2, 3, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, 3, 0, 1, 1, 0. Are those step losses versus something affecting? I mean, it jumps from looking up here to DD to defender disordered. These numbers, I don't know. Odds less than -2. Odds at less than 1/2, 1 to 2, -6 from the melee die roll. Less than 1, 12. What? Jesus. Oh, -12. It's really -1 from the one die and -2 from the other die is what it means. Right? Because it's the weird dice. All right, number, increments. So step losses are called increments, I guess. Attacker, defender. If the asterisk on that side makes a morale check. Okay, so we have morale checks. We have increment losses. Surrender. DS is not shattered. It's surrender. AR, route. It says PGD. Don't know what that means. Retreat 10 hexes when you rout. Wow. And lose 1 increment for each enemy zone of influence exited. Wow. Defending energy. Good, disordered, routed car. I don't know. 80 blank. DDDR. Defending cavalry. Defending limbered artillery. But what is car? CARRE. Gary? Car? Good, disordered, routed. It's going from better to worse. So I don't know. I don't know what that is. All right. We looked at that one. Let's move on. This should be an identical chart. Yes, this looks identical. Yes. So 2 of those. That's good. 2 players. The Bataille de Heilsberg. So this would be your order of battle. It's one-sided. Imperial Guard. 4th Corps Army. 6th Corps. So I have to learn how to interpret these other little numbers on here. The Roman numeral is the corps designation. Those are all 6th Corps. These are 4th Corps. It's going down this way. IG appears to be Imperial Guard there. 6th Corps. R for Reserve Corps. Reserve. So we got a Reserve Corps. We got the 6th Corps, the 4th Corps, and the Imperial Guard Corps. So that's not a big army in terms of Napoleonic terms. That's not huge. The Russian army of the 4th Coalition. All right. Oh, this is a bigger sheet. They have more dudes. North Wing Cossacks. I don't know how that's spelled there. It's obviously a French spelling of Cossack. South Wing Cossacks. Rear Guard of Army. Advanced Guard of Army. Advanced Guard Division Bagavou. Advanced Guard Division Raevsky. Attached to the Advanced Guard. Cavalry of the North Wing, Cavalry of the Left, Kaminsky's Corps, Division Rembau, Reserve Division Kaminsky 2, North Wing, north of the Alle, that's a German term. Sixth Division, 8th Division, 3rd Division, 7th Division, 14th Division. So much of this is broken into divisions here for the Russians versus the Corps, and the strengths are much different. You've got like 9 sevens and a bunch of 3 sevens. Like 11s, 4, 3, 4. Well, these guys have got 12s and some 6s and 16s and 8s and 12s, 18s, 9s. So the Russians have a lot more units, but they're smaller in the strengths. I guess that's the increments, the number of increments. I'm not sure. And nothing on the back of that. So much for me to learn with no rules in the box. This is print them up only. PDF. Windows, there's a zip extract. FUPub versus FBpub. What's the, I don't know what that, some kind of a, works for Mac as well as Windows users. It's some kind of file universal publication. I don't know. FUPub versus FubPub. Is that a typo? Is they both supposed to be FB Fub, or I don't know. A filling book, fully function filling book. I have no idea what that is. List of contents. The game box with numbered seal. Yes, I was 031. Does that really mean I have the 31st game printed? They've only sold 30 copies before me. Is that true? So this is a small print run, folks. Get yours now before it's sold out. My understanding is this game released in like October of 2022 or October, if I remember right. So yeah, 2 maps, organizational charts, counter sheets, 2 French, 1 combination, 2 coalition, 1 informational markers, 1 passage of time recorder. Oh, that's this thing. That's what this is. All right, so those are like 20-minute turns, I guess. And then you count on each other, and I don't know why the 3 parts of the day: liberty, fraternity, and equality. Now, is that supposed to be midnight, 1 in the morning? Or is that noon, 8 in the morning? So, wait, 9, 10, no. I guess you do it twice. I guess there's, whether that's noon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 p.m., and then you go around midnight a.m. in the morning, 11 a.m., then back to noon. So, yeah. Do they actually fight during the night? I don't think so, do you? I don't know. That seems odd. So that's something to learn. But, okay, folks, that is our unboxing of Marshal Enterprises. If you're not familiar, the Bataille system currently is published by both Marshal Enterprises and Clash of Arms. They come out with different titles. They have different rule sets. And my understanding, there's like 3 or 4 different rule sets out there over time for various ways to play La Bataille. And allegedly, you can completely interchange them. You could use, this says this is Premier, and you can go get those Premier rules, but you could use the components here with another rule system. And from what I've heard, some aspects of them are quite different. that the tactics actually get implemented a little bit differently. There's chit pull activations for some and not for others, and how that all works. So I am not sure what I want to do here. I know I've got some other La Bataille titles. This is my first Marshal Enterprises one. I do have the one from Against the Odds magazine, the Vauchamps. We'll probably start there. Or what's another? There's another one that's supposed to be pretty small. That's a good recommended starting spot. I don't know, but we'll figure it out, folks. But I went ahead and bought this guy. I do like the map. Part of it looked a little hand-drawn with tools. The roads had these starty and stoppy angles to them. Looked like someone drew a line up there and stopped. And so you can see, I'm going to zoom in for you. You can see this little, and here where the overlap, where someone took a marker and drew this. Which I don't mind that in a way, because I used to make some maps way back in the 70s where I would take the old SPI blank map sheets and I used markers Now, nothing as good as this here. This detail, these towns are really cool, and all, but this kind of foresty and towns and stuff, and the slopes, I did somewhat similar to that in this, and it's bringing back some fond memories. But good Lord, my town, I just drew like square, rectangles and squares and some L-shaped buildings and things like that, and they were all just like black, and it wasn't like this 2.5D angle. Not seeing where I'm pointing, but this stuff here, if you look at it, it looks like you're sort of looking down. They call it 2.5D angle. Believe it or not, yes, there's a thing called 2.5D, which is used a lot in a certain kind of video games. It aren't 3D. It's not looking down from the top. It's kind of at a 2.5D angle. But yeah, mine were truly overhead view type things. But anyway, so this warms the heart looking at this, and yeah, the way these rivers are done, and to me it looks good for the period, and almost if map maker artist do me up a map of the area or something. They'd either be using ink quills or maybe watercolor or something to paint up some of the features or something. I don't know. So I like it. I do. But yeah, this aspects of the roads there where there's those lines, almost would have liked that more freehand, like the rivers and streams. I'm assuming those are rivers and streams. I don't know the official name. It's called the creek. I don't know. Babbling Brook. So I will have to print me up some rules, download a chunk, and start viewing it. So we're going to call it there, folks. It's been 37 minutes. Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. We have been looking at Marshal Enterprises La Bataille Premier Rule Edition, without the rules in it, of La Bataille de Heilsberg, 1807. Apparently fought between the French and the Russians in Prussia. All right. So we're going to call it good there, folks. So all you good folks out there, take care and vive la empereur. And ciao.